What's up, everybody? Noble Comics here with the next round of the Tournament of Power. Today we have Luffy from One Piece versus Obito from Naruto. We're going to look at their skills, advantages, abilities, and who would win if they were to fight. First, the results of the last match, which was Naruto versus Starkiller. Naruto is going to win and is going towards the finals. Very exciting stuff, but with that out of the way, let's get into today's fight. Alright, second round of the semifinals. Whoever wins this is going to the finals, and we have Luffy from One Piece versus Orange Mask Obito from Naruto. And Luffy, again, is constrained to his Gear 4 as his max. We're not doing Gear 5 Luffy. And again, Obito is constrained to sort of his Orange Mask form. He doesn't have the Rinnegan or anything like that. So let's get into breaking down the characters, their skills, advantages, whatever, and then we'll get into our comparison. And I'll start with Obito like I normally do. So Obito is an Uchiha. He's one of the more powerful ninjas from the Naruto universe and one of the main villains of the entire series. So it comes to no surprise that he is nothing to scoff at. We know that he is very skilled in different forms of ninjutsus and taijutsu. We've seen his taijutsu, his hand-to-hand combat, be good enough to be on par with somebody like Kakashi, who is extremely skilled, which immediately puts him in the upper echelon of hand-to-hand combatants. When it comes to ninjutsus, he is an Uchiha, so his fire style is going to be particularly strong. We've seen him pull out some very powerful fireball jutsus that have good ranged and destructive capabilities. We know that he has powerful genjutsu as well, which is mental manipulation, but we've seen him overpower some Jinchuriki in the past, which we don't see a ton of that ability from him, but we do know that he does have it, and it must be extremely strong, extrapolating from what he's done in the past. He does have his Sharingan, which allows him to track enemy movement and avoid attack more easily, and his Mangekyo Sharingan, which brings to his main ability, which has been carrying him through this bracket. And that's that he is able to essentially go intangible. He's moving his body between dimensions, though if you're just watching it, right, it looks like his body is just intangible. And this is sort of a short range ability that he has, where he's able to phase himself through enemy attacks, which essentially makes him untouchable. And the only real recourse to this that we've seen in the show is if you have your own Mangekyo Sharingan that can counter his and essentially hold him to this material plane, or to just catch him off guard and get the drop on him, like Minato did. But that is easier said than done. So his character as a whole is, like I've said before, he's extremely skilled when it comes to hand-to-hand combat and fighting. The Sharingan gives him a good advantage in combat as well, and countering different opponents. His jutsus are very strong, his fireball jutsu, and other techniques. He's obviously very fast, being able to keep pace with some of the most powerful ninja in the Naruto universe, which can move much faster than the eye can see. He's incredibly strong and durable, even whenever he's not using his Mangekyo Sharingan Kamui ability. We've seen him take hits from very powerful ninja like Minato, and he is alive, so that's something. But the major thing here, right, is the Kamui thing, is his Sharingan's ability, where he goes intangible, because what he's supposed to do against an opponent that you can't touch, right? And it may seem like I'm just kind of glossing over Obito here, and I don't want it to necessarily be like that, but that's really what it is. I mean, people who know anime know Naruto. It's like, he's extremely fast, he's extremely strong, he's very durable, he's got good ranged attacks with his, different jutsus that he can do. Very skilled when it comes to up-close fighting. And then just say he's better than most in all the fields that I just mentioned, but he's untouchable is the main thing that we kind of need to touch on and overcome here when it comes to Luffy, who I will talk about now. So Luffy, leader of the Straw Hat Pirates in One Piece, has a few different things going for him, right? He has his gears, which are different forms that he can go into, and he's got his haki, which are different techniques that he can use. Starting with his forms, right? So they're called gears. Gear 2 is where he enhances his speed greatly. He was already incredibly fast before, but using this, he gets even faster, moving again faster than the eye can see for beings who can move incredibly fast. So he is off the charts in levels of speed. He's got Gear 3, where he elephantizes his limbs to be able to hit harder, right, like a giant fist hitting even harder than before. And then Gear 4 is where things get turned up another notch, where he's essentially using everything I just mentioned, except now he's combining it with his haki abilities. So let me talk about those. So haki, there's 3 forms, and not everybody has every form, but Luffy does have every form. His observation haki, which is one form, allows him to basically have precognition, glimpse into the future, see his enemy attacks before they happen. His armament haki, second form, is able to harden parts of his body essentially so that they are nigh indestructible and do a ton more damage. And using this too, there's an advanced form of this where your hits are not just hitting people, right, but you're actually combusting people from within using this form and using this attack. And also, Armament Haki allows him to being able to touch and hit Logia type users, which in the One Piece universe, a Logia type user is a person who is completely composed of like an element, like they're made of fire. Their body is essentially intangible. They're made of fire or electricity or something, but using this haki, you're able to still touch them. And in this form, whatever part of your body is using it is pretty much indestructible. The last form is Conqueror's Haki, which is a little bit nebulous in sort of what it does and what it is, but it's essentially like your force of will. Like the more you have, the stronger you are. But we've seen it be used of like someone who's a strong Conqueror's Haki, just their mere presence will cause lesser willed people to collapse or pass out. We've also seen it have physical effects, or when Shanks steps on Whitebeard's ship, his ship actually cracks and like reels from the fact that somebody this powerful is here. Just his presence is able to do that. And again, Luffy has this ability. So in Gear 4, he's extremely fast, he's extremely strong, hitting very hard. His body is enhanced with Armament Haki and this advanced form of Armament Haki. He's essentially got precognition. And the most impressive thing that we see him do is whenever he fights and defeats Kaido, and he does defeat him in his Gear 5 form, but even before that, he's dealing massive damage to Kaido. His fist is turning like massive, lighting on fire because it's moving so fast, crushing Kaido in his dragon form. He's doing insane damage to him with these internal Haki strikes, which is that combusting him from within. He's also taking hits from Kaido, like his blast breath, which is island level attacks. It's like leveling burning mountains to the ground, but Luffy's taken multiple blast breaths. He's taking hits from his massive club, which do insane damage as well. Overall, this fight was just a showcase of the greatest hits of Luffy, right? How fast, how strong, how durable he is. So if these two were to meet up, Obito and Luffy, who would win? What do the advantages look like for each person? What's the stat differential here? So let's walk through that. When it comes to stats, I don't think it's a big shock. I think Luffy has the stat advantage pretty much everywhere. I think that he's stronger. I think that he's faster. I think that he's more durable. Just because we've seen greater speed feats from Luffy than we have from Obito. Like, from Obito, his speed, we see him matching other very fast people like Kakashi. Luffy, we see him dodge light speed attacks. We see him, again, moving faster than the eye can see for very fast people, keeping pace with some of the most powerful people in the One Piece universe. Durability-wise, I think he has an advantage in durability because, again, we've seen him take bigger hits from stronger people than what we've seen from Obito. But of course, Obito's Hack's ability of not being touched, I guess, technically gives him a durability advantage because he can't be touched. Or can he? Because one thing that I would like to float, I'm not saying that this is true, but I'd like to float, is if Armament Haki can touch intangible people, could it also hit Obito? I know that Obito's not really intangible, that it is like a dimensional shift. So like logically, no, it's not the same. But what if it was the same, right? What if we could say that it was the same? Then Luffy obviously dominates. But like the win condition here for Obito, I don't even know what it would be, because he can't dominate him with Genjutsu. His Conqueror's Haki is way too high, which I think would counter that. He's not going to be able to kill him with like his Fireball Jutsu because he's taken hits from Kaido, which is way more powerful. I don't think he's going to be able to sneak up on him because he has Observation Haki. Like, is all that he could do is just transport him to a different dimension, which again, in these fights, I don't typically do BFR as like a legitimate win, which is battlefield removal. So I'm going to say that he can't do that. He actually has to win the fight. And I don't see a world where that happens. Luffy, though, the way he wins is he does what he always does, and that's he just beats the crap out of people. Now, Obito definitely has a skill advantage in hand-to-hand combat, but Luffy doesn't really fight the same type of hand-to-hand combat that they do in Naruto. He's throwing his massive rubber limbs around that hit like a freaking nuclear bomb, like 100 times a second. And There's just no world in my mind where Obito comes out winning this fight. I think, again, Luffy's faster, he's stronger, he's more durable. Even though Obito has hacks, you could say that Luffy does as well with his different hockey forms, which are going to counter anything that Obito can throw at him. I think it's going to come down to Obito trying to make a play, and then Luffy being so much faster and recognizing it with observation hockey, countering it, and just crushing the dude. So, I think that Luffy wins this fight pretty handily. But it's not up to me. You all get to go vote in the community tab for who you think would win and who is going to go to the finals. So be sure to go vote, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.